At my son's christening, my mother whispered, "Let's hope he grows up grateful." My father added, "We've done a lot. It's easy to forget." I just smiled. The next day, I returned the stroller they'd gifted. Used, pink, still labeled Ava. I went through the rest. Every birthday, holiday, emergency, tracked and packed. 40 boxes. Kitchenware. Coats. Even the blender. By sunrise, they were delivered. My mother opened the door and said, "What is all this?" I replied, "Just a reminder of what support looked like." The christening was supposed to be a moment for my son, a tiny celebration of life. But the second my mother said, "Don't worry, I'll organize everything," I knew it was doomed. She didn't ask what we wanted. She told us what looked best. She didn't care about meaning. She cared about Pinterest aesthetics. Rustic grace, she said. Something modest but impressive. That translated to church-themed Instagram shoot, brought to you by your bank account. I paid. Of course I paid. My wife and I had no say. My mother handled everything. The rented barn, the gold-foiled napkins, the calligraphy signs that spelled blessing wrong twice. The centerpiece was a life-sized photo of Oliver, my son, with her initials watermarked on the bottom. Every invoice came to me. Every favor she pulled was a favor I financed. She wore white, because apparently this event was about rebirth. Hers. We were seated next to the bathrooms, between a mop bucket and a bucket list of grievances. Then came the gifts. A used stroller. Pink. Labeled Ava. Still had the name carved into the plastic. "It's practically new," my mother said proudly. "Kids grow so fast. Waste not." My wife held her breath. I held the handle. It squeaked like it had trauma. Then my father, bless him, raised his glass. "To Oliver. And may he grow up less needy than some people here." My mother leaned in, sipped her Prosecco, and whispered in my ear, "Let's hope he grows up grateful." And that was it. I didn't yell. I didn't even blink. I smiled. The next morning, I returned the stroller. Left it at their door. Still had a fruit snack wrapper in the side pocket. I didn't clean it. Then I opened a spreadsheet and did the math. Every birthday, every holiday, every half-hearted, half-broken, half-wrapped gift, every emergency casserole dish, every towel, every blender, all of it, tracked, boxed, labeled, 40 boxes, kitchenware that never matched, coats with their tags still on, a fondue set still reeking of 1998. At sunrise, the truck hit their lawn. My mother ran outside in silk pajamas and confusion. "What is all this?" I stepped down from the cabin, calm, clean clipboard in hand. "This," I said, pointing to the stack of labeled cardboard, "just a reminder of what support looked like." And then, Box 40 began to shake. I didn't realize it at first, but my money had become the family's silent centerpiece. My mother's idea of help was turning our account into her own private bank vault. Every month, like clockwork, I logged into online banking and discovered transfers labeled for family. $2,000 a month, recurring. No memo, no conversation, just a financial commitment I never agreed to, but couldn't opt out of, because confrontation always met a wall of guilt. When my sister hit 27, she needed support. 10 grand went to her rent that first year. My mother scheduled automatic monthly payments of $1,200 to the same apartment she'd moved out of 3 months earlier. "It's our inheritance plan," she told me. Though the only thing being inherited was my patience, draining by the day. I paid for my niece's college tuition, $4,042, itemized down to the cent, with family group photos signed on each check. "Love, your brother." My name was on the line, but it might as well have been invisible ink. These weren't gifts. They were expectations in disguise. Christmas mornings felt like opening a statement from the bank. "Here, have another casserole dish," they'd say as I fingered chipped ceramic. This was on sale. Then, we paid shipping. It wasn't generosity. It was ownership. I remember the Honda Civic, A07 model I saved up for. Repaid in full. I let it slip, grudgingly, into my sister's possession when she got pregnant. Temporary, I was told, but I never saw it again. Calls went unreturned. Every time I broached it, someone, usually my mother, whispered, she really didn't have any other way. And I believed her, because I hate conflict as much as I love being taken advantage of. Then came emergencies, always emergencies. A cat's vet bill, a birthday trip, a car repair, No matter what it was, my money showed up. Christmas, birthdays, graduations, all these events listed under assistance on statements I never saw until months later. And still, nothing changed. Because I was always the generous one. That's how they framed it. I was the bank, the foundation with no walls. My boundaries, invisible. My generosity, weaponized. Looking back, I can trace the pattern. May 2017, sent $2,000 for household expenses. That turned into a granite countertop upgrade for the kitchen I was never allowed to use. October 2018, $1,500 wired to sister's move-in, spent on rent for an Airbnb in Ibiza. December 2019, for $1,200 for tuition support, 600 copies of fondue sets and monogrammed duvet covers later, and my niece graduated with a minor in social media optimization. June 2021, $8,700 for ski trip, yep, to the Alps. For every dollar I transferred, I received back a carefully orchestrated display of gratitude. In reality, it was performance art, florals, cake tastings, bridal shower for my sister's second wedding. And me, in the background, labeled gray, again. So they wanted to talk thanks and appreciation? I can talk numbers. All of them, down to the wire. And that brings me back to sunrise on their lawn. That was never just a stunt. That was truth delivered. No filters, no rehearsals, just the cold weight of accountability. I'm writing this as I stand beside the boxes, knowing each taped flap screams louder than I ever could in words. Every returned casserole dish, every coat nobody wore, they're reminders. Reminders that support is not deliverable items with strings attached. It's respect. It's acknowledgement. It never needed receipts, until they did. I thought the truck full of boxes at sunrise would be enough. I thought they'd get the message. Support is not cash siphoned, not gratitude silenced. I thought at least one boundary would stand by morning, though hereditary guilt tends to smother even stone. But about 20 minutes after sunrise, my phone lit up with a new bill. They booked a family trip to the Alps. For a week. For 4 people. Without a single question. With my card. Again. Emergency, my mother texted. We need fresh mountain air. My father followed with a WhatsApp sticker of a yodeling man and the caption, nothing like a little altitude and gratitude, right? Gratitude. Always gratitude. The thing about betrayal is, it sneaks. It's a whisper in an email thread, a pre-signed check, a boundary signed in someone else's name. This trip was both a half-measure staged with full force, flights bought, hotel booked, excursion schedules printed. My mother wore it like a badge. I did this so everyone could reconnect, she said on speaker to me. In the hallway. Reconnect. Not consult. Reconnect. With my money, apparently. I asked to see receipts. She forwarded a PDF labeled summerfun_family_trip_2025. Just the card number, last 4 digits, and the total, $8,700. Same number as last year. Same card. My account. Believe me, I checked who's pinging me at 3 a.m. Next, I found the falsified signature. My mother forged my name on a rental car agreement. One of those luxury crossovers she thought looked nice. Under pressure, she admitted it. You have the same signature, she said, eyebrows raised like it meant something. Why make a fuss? As if some boundaries were crossed. My willingness to sacrifice became a playlist they played on repeat, except they never pressed pause. Every time I dialed to ask questions, I got echoes. You're just stressed. You always overthink. You don't trust us? Or worse, silence, until I dropped the call. Then came invitations I never received. My sister's birthday weekend, 2 weeks after the trip, my niece's dance recital. And the big one, the wedding of a cousin. Invitations that arrived for everyone in the family but me. I asked why. Answer. The invite wasn't customized to our template. Literal. Their words. They'd used a pre-made online invite app that maxed out at 200 names. We figured it would be better if we started a guest list organically. Organic. It reminded me of produce from the same cart where I paid, but never ate. Let me tell you, mistakes compound. So did my resolve. I traced every euro, every stolen dinner out, every co-opted gift, every pan they bought and somehow lost in kids' junk after I moved out. I counted vacation per DMs, car insurance top-ups, energy bills I paid from a family account. I found the upholstery receipt my father forgot for the couch in the living room. That couch is still there. So is the bill, $2 for 100. It wasn't support, it was control disguised as care. But I didn't break. I bottled. I saved every document, every text, email, forwarded message, shattered receipt. I compiled spreadsheets titled Unilateral Expenses 2015 to 2025, forged agreements, excluded from family events. I earmarked what I'd need for small claims court if it came to that. Yet, I couldn't stop disputing in my own head. Family or fraud? I'm still parsing that. But the breadcrumbs they left, financial logs, empty chairs, broken signatures, led me here. To this moment. To me, standing beside boxes stacked like monument stones, knowing the sun was rising, warming the truth. Betrayal wasn't a thunderclap. It was 1,000 paper cuts hidden in kindness. Forgiveness is a choice. I chose clarity instead. I didn't plan to go to the wedding. Not after the Alps. Not after the fake signature. Not after the insult of being too insignificant to click into their guest list drop-down menu. But something pulled me there. Maybe curiosity, maybe pride, maybe the desire to see just how far they'd go when they thought I was out of the picture. I arrived in silence. No RSVP, no warning. Just walked into the reception like a ghost they thought they'd buried. There were gold chairs, floating candles, a pianist who looked like he charged per octave. Everyone was glowing in staged happiness. My sister spun in her rented dress. My mother laughed with that fake staccato she uses when she wants to look charming. And my father was at the head table, already half drunk and giving a speech. Family is everything, he said, glass raised. And no matter what happens, we take care of each other. The irony knocked the air out of me. Then I saw it, the envelope. Plain, white, on the gift table. I had dropped it off earlier that day. Inside, a $7,500 check. Earned the hard way. Not for them, for my cousin. Someone I thought still saw me, still respected me. But as I stood there, I realized he hadn't even said hi. I turned, walked back to the table, and picked up the envelope. Opened it, took the check out slowly, then said, loud enough for the next table to hear, I think you won't need this anymore. People stared. A fork clinked to the floor. My mother froze mid-step, her smile suspended. My father's grip tightened around his wine glass. I didn't run. I walked. Out the door. Across the parking lot. Into my car. I didn't start the engine. I waited. And just like I expected, the call started. First my mother, then my cousin, then my father. Each one more frantic. I ignored them all. But I wasn't done. I went home. Sat at my desk. Pulled up every transaction. Every forged document. And something new hit me. A detail I hadn't noticed before. A signature. Not mine. Not my mother's sloppy forgery. My sister's. On a tuition payment authorization. $4,042. Paid from my account. I stared at the screen, confused, until it hit me. She'd forged me too. The same sister who cried on the phone about how hard life was. Who said I was her only lifeline. Who sent selfies of her cat as thank you messages. She'd used my login, saved on our parents' shared laptop, and authorized her own payments. Multiple times. The betrayal wasn't a knife. It was a family quilt, hand-stitched with my trust, one lie at a time. That night, I sent an email to the university. Subject, incorrectly filed authorization, immediate revocation. Attached were screenshots, IDs, and a signed affidavit. I CC'd the bursar, the dean, and my sister. By morning, her student account was frozen. Classes revoked. Portal locked. All with a cheerful message. Your enrollment has been suspended due to financial irregularities. By noon, the group chat exploded. You're destroying her future. How could you do this? She made a mistake. You're heartless. And then the kicker. You were never family. You were just the one who always gave. And now you've stopped. That message wasn't from my father. Or my mother. It was from my sister. The same sister who said she'd pay me back as soon as she got on her feet. The same sister who cried into borrowed phones and sent voice notes like lullabies. That sister. I didn't respond. I just packed a small bag, got in my car, and drove to my grandfather's house. I hadn't seen him in years. He lived quiet, far from their noise. When he opened the door, he didn't ask questions, just poured coffee and waited. I told him everything. The trip, the wedding, the forged tuition, the insult. He sat still, silent. When I finished, he stood, went into the back room, and returned with a small metal box. "I never trusted your parents with money," he said. "This is yours now." Inside was a deed, not just to land, to the family lake house, the one we weren't allowed to visit anymore, the one they always said got sold. It hadn't. He never changed the title. He just waited for someone to deserve it. Now it was mine. And just like that, the game flipped. They thought they had emptied me, that I'd walk away with nothing. But they forgot who I was before they started scripting my role. I never saw the lake house coming until I stepped onto its aged porch, the wooden boards sighing under my weight like a jury stirring in its box. In my pocket, my grandfather's deed sat quietly, proof that the foundation hadn't collapsed. It had waited, for years, for me. Locking the door behind me, I slid the key into a chestnut box I'd secured earlier. That lock symbolized more than security. It was a statement. This house belonged to me now. No one would walk in like I was still family, rummaging through drawers, rifling through files, shuffling personal things into souvenir boxes labeled memories. That Alps trip had been my breaking point. They'd stripped my home blind. I shifted to the financial battlefield next. My phone buzzed as I froze joint accounts and canceled auto payments. Gone. My mother's spa fund, my father's barber visits, my sister's rent checks. 25 pop-up notifications flashed, payment stopped, auto pay canceled, account frozen. My heart didn't skip a beat. My soul found a rhythm I'd never heard before. Silence. Then I drafted the email. Unfiltered, strategic, merciless. Titled Transparency and Restoration. Addressed to my parents, sister, cousins, you name it. No emotional fluff, just facts. Screenshot of the forged rental agreement for the Alps trip. Copy of the Alpine invoice. $8,700. Unauthorized. Forged car rental documents at the same trip. Tuition fraud documents. Unauthorized use of my name by my sister for $4,042. Spreadsheet summary. $34,842 siphoned off since 2017. Evidence of my exclusion from holidays, weddings, family events. A mediation deadline, 14 days. Admit. Repay. Or the matter will proceed through formal mediation. Mom was the first to respond. A flurry of apologies, demands for second chances, promises of change. My sister sent a shaky voice note, voice cracking, begging me to talk offline. My father? He was silent. Saturday, 2 p.m., the answer came. An invite to the lake house picnic I posted in the group chat. BYO food. Optional. List what you're actually grateful for. No decor, no frills. Just me. And a projector. They came. Mom in high heels, dad with his posture, sister holding a box of brownies like a hostage. No candles. No monogram napkins. Just plastic plates on a creaky picnic table, foliage above casting irregular shadows. I fired up the laptop. Slide 1. Alps receipt, contract, bank statement. Slide 2. Rental car agreement with forged signature. Slide 3. Tuition invoice. Sister's handwriting signed my name. Slide 4. Photo of the stacked boxes on their lawn, my cardboard monument. The slideshow played to soundtrack of wind rustling leaves and the faint hum of cicadas. I watched them shrink, visibly shorter under the weight of truth. Mom commented first, voice quivering. I thought I was doing something amazing. I looked her in the eye. Help doesn't require theft. It doesn't need spreadsheets. It leaves traces. These are traces. Sister's voice shook. I didn't want to ask. I panicked. I replied, calm. You crossed a line. You knew it. My father looked down, folding his arms. I closed the laptop gently, authoritatively. Got to my feet. If you want access to the lake house, I said, voice steady. It starts with acknowledgement and repayment, every dollar. If not, it's legally and emotionally mine. They stared. Leaves rustled. A moment stretched, crackling like static. That night, I finalized the legal documents. Repayment schedule, binding mediation agreement, clause blocking their access until first payment clears, and the deed fully transferred. I sent it by email at 22:17. The ding echoed in my chest. I didn't post anything online. I didn't make it public. I didn't care. The picnic was message enough. I built a fire in the hearth, poured whiskey into a glass, and stepped outside. The first embers melted into the night. The lake reflected the firelight like molten gold. I raised the glass to the water. No words. No celebration. Just property and peace. Then my phone buzzed. Mom, we were wrong. We want to fix this. Sister, can we please talk? Dad, family without trust is hollow. I stared at the screen. Once, twice, then locked the phone and tucked it away. Because this house doesn't need reconciliation. It needs respect, boundaries, honesty. They thought they'd emptied me. They were wrong. I poured the last of the whiskey. The fire dwindled. I poured another. Because for once, I'm not drained. I'm full. And this house? It's no longer haunted. It's home. Let me know when you're ready to finish with the icy, hands-off epilogue, where I vanish and they're left with everything but me. They said I was family. Then they said I was spoiled. Then they said I was gone too far. And then they said nothing. Because I stopped answering. Not out of anger. Out of peace. It started simple. I turned off read receipts. Then I turned off notifications. Then I turned off the phone. They kept calling. Voicemails poured in like begging rain. My mother, crying about Christmas. My sister, voice thin and sharp, offering repayment plans she had no intention of honoring. My father, trying to barter trust like it was a scratch-off lottery ticket. Let's rebuild. Let's be men. But I had already built something. Walls. Boundaries. Locks. A spine. I sent one final message. Not angry. Just cold enough to freeze every word in place. You chose space. I'm honoring that. Then silence. The kind that makes people itch. The kind they can't fill with casseroles or wine or passive-aggressive memes in the family chat. I wasn't angry. I wasn't unavailable. I was done. They started unraveling faster than I expected. Day 4, my sister posted a quote on Instagram. Something about betrayal. I didn't like it. Day 6, my mother emailed. Subject line. You're really going to do this? I didn't open it. Day 10, my father left a voicemail. This is pathetic, he growled. You'll come crawling back. I saved it. Named it Closure. Day 15, they sent a courier. An actual person. With a basket of pastries and a handwritten card. Let's just be normal again. I returned the basket with a note. Let's start with honesty. By day 20, my sister threatened legal action, claimed emotional distress. I forwarded her a copy of the tuition fraud, marked in red. Never heard back. Day 22, I received a call from a blocked number. I answered out of curiosity. Silence. Then my mother. What do you want? I smiled, even though she couldn't see it. Nothing, I said. That's the point. I hung up. I wasn't trying to punish them. I was removing the audience. Taking the stage lights with me. Letting the theater collapse under its own glittery weight. They were used to my silence. They didn't expect it to last. I didn't check their feeds. I didn't ask around. But I heard, eventually, they had to rent out their renovated kitchen for cooking classes. My father was spotted working part-time at a car wash to stay busy. My sister was back with her ex. Again. And the lake house? Still quiet. Still mine. I got mail there sometimes. Letters from people I didn't recognize. Old family friends. Even a cousin or two. You were right, they wrote. I wish I'd said something. I never replied. Sometimes silence speaks clearer than any confrontation. The last message I ever got was a group email. No subject. Just a line. We miss you. I clicked delete. Then cleared the trash. They treated me like I was only useful when giving. Now they're left with the feelings. And I'm left with the deed.